I really want a movement around femininity that's about the value in femininity, that's about bettering women and helping women to better themselves.
Hi everybody, RadMom here. Welcome back to the garden on this lovely late summer evening. We have something extra special for you on the channel tonight. Tonight we're going to get a peek at the future of feminism. Really quick though, please like the video if you enjoy my content and subscribe to the channel so we can all work together to bring feminism back into the real world. Because there is some young women out there who really need it.
I think we need a separate movement around femininity that's separate to the red pill and the manosphere. I don't think we should be hitching onto that.
This is Galatea. She's been one of my favorites for a while, actually. She is a young English woman who made a 4-hour-long ramble in response to the lady who loves Andrew Tate the most.
I'd say like 90% of women say they hate Andrew Tate, but I would actually say 100% of women are looking for a man like Andrew Tate.
Leia Heilpern is Andrew Tate's biggest fan. I'm going to assume a lot of you know who Andrew Tate is. You know, bro extraordinaire. I don't know how many of you knew he got arrested. I did not know that. But that's part of the fun of visiting with our new friend Galatea here, is she's going to be reporting in from a different corner of the female experience. This is turning into something of a moment in the cultural conversation about the role of women in society. And boy do I want to get in on that. And Galatea has so many fun things to say.
I've defended femininity from attacks from the left, but I think in a different way you're doing as much damage to harm its image. I think you are devaluing femininity. I think you are making it cheap and shallow and tawdry and cowardly and infantile and not to be taken seriously. Be how you want to be, but to present that as the true way to be feminine, I'm publicly denouncing this.
I had to cut her down quite a bit, because 4 hours is a lot. But she is a very passionate and intelligent young woman who does kind of tend to talk, you know, in loops the way we all do. But she always talks herself around to the point sooner or later. And she's very entertaining about it. I have cut her down to about 18 minutes. Galatea, have you ever watched this? Girl, I'm sorry. You are doing the heavy lifting over there. There's been a lot of talk for a while about what is the future of feminism? Does feminism have a future? Is feminism over? Hell no, feminism is not over. And all this stuff that Galatea is saying demonstrates exactly not just why, but how. There's a hell of a lot left to be defined. What does femininity even mean? We don't even really know that.
So I think women naturally are going to not like him because we are emotional.
That's one of the things that she's arguing about. She is arguing for the future of our movement without realizing it. I have confidence that she will get there one day. It's been really confusing to me for a while now why it is that no one is taking the threat from the right seriously. Like, why is no one concerned about all these conservative influencers, your Abby Shapiro's and your Pearl Davises? Why is nobody concerned about these women? Most people don't take Pearl Davis seriously. Most people see her as AstroTurf because she is. Now, Leia Heilpern, I'm really not sure about. She appears to be some sort of an independent journalist with a hell of a thing for Andrew Tate. And boy, if she didn't get Galatea riled up.
You want to know why being a traditional woman is sneered at? This misrepresentation of it.
So their wife can stay home and relax. Women need help, whether it's emotional support, whether it's physical support. You know, we need attention. And all of these things, I agree with him.
Stuff like this shit. You're part of the problem. You are an insult to actual traditional women. You are making a mockery out of them. And then you turn around and wonder why women are embarrassed to be traditionally feminine.
She's going through that period of disillusionment that comes from, you know, going through young adulthood when you realize that most of the people around you are full of shit. So what we have here is a young woman who is interested in traditional femininity and not any of this red pill, socially conservative garbage. My girl.
If you're going to make a play at stroking the male ego, be more intelligent about it, please. Then I could at least respect the art form, even if I took issue with the method. But this? That's all we're here for, waiting to get gathered up and bent to your will like dolls with wombs, with no trajectory or ambitions or dreams of our own in life other than to follow you and assist in yours. The spoils of the winners, with no say of our own, led solely as we are by hormones and an inability to think. Don't you dare tell me that that attitude doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's all red pillars. I'm not saying that at all. I know. I'm not saying that any more than I think that all feminists are man-haters.
Isn't that sweet of her to say? Are the loudest feminists man-haters in the same way that the loudest red pillars are misogynist pricks?
But that attitude is there, and it is not insignificant. You see what you're doing to me, you red pill fucks. You're making me sound like a radical feminist.
Yes, it's almost as if this is pretty much the natural organic reaction that a female person might have to a lot of this stuff.
He said that women are difficult to travel with, and I understand that. You know, we get hungry, and if we're not fed, we get hangry. So I understand when he says women are children.
I'm going to say this one time. Wives are not children.
Why should you have to say that? But, the fact that we even got there does lead me to wonder if that's not somehow related to some of the predatory sexual shit that goes on. Like, these men can't seem to tell the difference.
It's just, yeah, again, oversimplified rubbish. And it's just more complicated than either men are evil and lazy and entitled, or women are evil and lazy and entitled. I think there's deeper kind of stuff to figure out, and it's just not helping anything. So oversimplifying everything and just being like, oh, women don't care about men. Like, that's not the reality.
Oversimplification helps no one. Can we just agree that there's more to this than that?
This is absolutely virtue signalling, but for red pillars. 100%. I don't know how this isn't super transparent. It's not even remotely subtle.
Galatea is really good at spotting doublethink. And this is a good example of it. What are you talking about? Conservatives don't do virtue signaling. Yes, they do. The fact that that's gotten tagged as a liberal lefty thing is absurd. In social behavior circles, that is a neutral term. It's something that everyone does. Yeah, to let everybody know you're a part of the good group. We all do it.
This isn't the fucking wild. Can we just chill out a bit and stop playing wolves, right? We're human beings. We're a little more complex than that. And you, by the way, you do the women that you claim to support a disservice when you say things like that.
I think it would do us all a great service if we could agree upon certain foundational basics, such as no one group as a monolith hates the other group as a monolith. Can we just throw away that idea? That would be great.
I find a lot of it really distasteful, like lowering women's role right down or describing it as relaxing to blatantly appeal to a male audience for the purpose of making themselves more attractive, as they themselves have said, and it is just pandering.
Ding, 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 ding. All this stuff about grifters. I don't know any specific person's motivation here, but this woman, Layla Heilpern, has apparently hitched her wagon to Andrew Tate because he made her money on her YouTube channel. All of these people seem to be in it for the money. All of these people seem to be AstroTurf, which is just so fucking weird. There have been so many small independent lefty channels in the last decade that the phenomenon has a name, and like it's a whole rabbit hole. Am I missing something? Or is somebody missing here?
We should be placing a higher value on men's role. Absolutely, I agree with you there. Men are important and shouldn't be devalued.
Men are important and shouldn't be devalued is enough to get you deplatformed in a lot of feminist groups. And like, yeah, a lot of women have relationships with men. We can have that be a separate discussion group if y'all want. That's fine. But we should be able to discuss it.
Raising children is not sitting at home playing with fucking crayons. I don't think half of you parroting that idea actually have kids. As Leia presents, being a stay-at-home mother, it's very easy. It's perfectly suited to the weak, feeble, easily overstimulated female temperament, and it involves absolutely no work or chores.
So their wife can stay home and relax.
I have heard mothers say that. Yes, I think that is actually the number one thing that mothers say. Gosh, since I had children, my life just became so much more relaxing. This just comes across as very out of touch and pampered, and dare I say spoiled. And it is not doing anything to remove the stigma of being a stay-at-home mother.
Not only is it not removing that stigma, it is helping to further it. And she's going to explain why here in a minute.
This is just lazy thinking. And then she hides behind, but I'm a woman, we're all like this. It's too stressful for us to think for ourselves and make our own choices. And it's so annoying. Not only because it's lazy, but also because, sod off. Don't use us as an excuse for all the ways in which you fail to measure up.
Ha ha! Here's somebody who clearly understands the distinction between the group and the individual. Mwah!
Work on yourself and leave us the hell out of it. Take some accountability. Stop acting like being a woman is an excuse not to think.
Don't you see that the fact I keep my mouth shut and do what I'm told and let people think for me is actually a sign of my morality and not just a sign of cowardice, self-service and deep moral failing disguised as goodness, because it's just none of my business.
See, here's where we start to come back around, right? Is any of this starting to sound familiar?
It is your business. You very publicly made him your business. You built a successful YouTube channel off making him your business, so you don't get to snake out of it now and not be held accountable for being scummy. It's a bit late for that. You're a hack. You're a hack. You're a hack and a sellout. You're a sellout. You've sold out. You have sold out.
Yes. She acts upset by this. I don't know if she used to be a fan of Leia's. Most of the people who go into journalism want to be on camera.
I'd say like 90% of women say they hate Andrew Tate, but I would actually say 100% of women are looking for a man like Andrew Tate. That's the reality.
Do not speak for me. How dare you think you can speak for me?
She doesn't speak for you, and I don't claim to speak for you either. We should all get together and find a way to speak for ourselves, right? There's this movement that needs to be built. Like, I feel it too.
This is why I get annoyed with you, Leia. You claim to speak for all women, and you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You want to go really traditional? I'm pretty sure not even the Bible would advocate for that. It would say, no, women use your brains and think, and there's that Bible passage about what a good wife does or whatever. Like, this is not traditional. This is infantile.
Even the supposed cultural conservatives, the traditionalists among us, are a bunch of shells. So, God forbid you actually want to do any of that. You still have no real support. The left has abandoned you and that it pretends that you don't exist, and the right has abandoned you and that it thinks you ought to be in the kitchen. What else is she supposed to do but think for herself?
This is a female sexual strategy where you infantilize yourself in order to be more appealing to men.
I love that about Galatea. She's not afraid to get real. Because we all know that that's true.
And what offends me is this parody of a traditional woman you're painting online to pander to your audience.
Like, it's all just so much fun not thinking for yourself, easy, such a lark.
As if being able to think for yourself and to question and trust your own instincts and challenge decisions that don't sit right with you aren't qualities that traditional women will also need for the hardships that are bound to arrive at some point over the course of a life.
What do we mean by traditional? Do we mean historical? I'm almost starting to feel like we have no shared definition of these terms.
This is insulting to traditional women. This makes a mockery of them. And it also makes a mockery of femininity. If you want to infantilize yourself, that is fine, Leia, but then stop presenting yourself as the spokeswoman for traditional femininity when you are nothing of the sort. This is LARPing.
So that phrase, traditional femininity, what the fuck does that mean? Shouldn't feminism be the one to answer that?
I think Andrew's actually the greatest feminist if you think about it. And I've actually texted Andrew and I told him,
Oh, give up. This is so ridiculous. It's beyond saying I don't think he's a criminal. Now we're on, he's the greatest feminist. Leia.
Well, it's what happens when you click mine. You have to keep upping the ante, don't you? You want to keep getting that sweet, sweet dopamine, I guess. I wouldn't know.
You're just being silly now. No one believes that. Not even his fans believe that. He's the greatest feminist. Literally no one. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it.
I think Leia just jumped the shark.
I am living in a Monty Python sketch. This is a dream. This is a dream, and you are a figment of John Cleese's imagination.
With government backing, I could make it very silly.
This is the only logical explanation from this.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
You're not real.
Now go away.
It is all very silly. You know, I think there's a darker underbelly here because
your sons will marry their daughters. Your daughters will marry their sons. You will create legacies. Enjoying those juicy steaks, that finer scotch, those smoother cigars.
we've talked a lot about the controlled speech on the left and how they're trying to change language and perception and whatever. But I want you to watch this woman's face. Leia, Andrew Tate's biggest fan, is gonna show us the results of being exposed to stuff like that.
He refused to speak to us.
I don't see a
but it's
problem
clear
there.
that he has a
You don't see a problem with Andrew Tate's personal wizard. And I think the problem is that it's deeply embarrassing, Leia.
big role to play in whatever the war room's real agenda is.
This is the war.
This is so ridiculous. They're acting like the war room is this dark, mysterious, dangerous cult. The way Matt is like, I managed to get access to it. It's really not that hard to get access to it. But in reality, it's just a group of men coming together, trying to improve their lives.
A group of men coming together to try and improve their lives could describe a whole lot. That's not necessarily a harmless thing, is it?
A group of men and a wizard? Don't forget the wizard. Nothing to see here. It's all very normal. This is just a group of men coming together to try and improve their lives. A group of men and a wizard. I love how she phrases it.
This is so normal. It's just a group of men coming together and trying to improve their lives.
By doing what? A group of men coming together to try and improve their lives describes a whole lot of stuff. A lot of which I'm personally not terrifically comfortable with. So I don't know that mocking them and laughing at them is all we should be doing.
Just admit that it's weird that there's a wizard.
It is weird that there's a wizard. He is the self-proclaimed world's greatest hypnotist, who apparently works for Andrew Tate. Why?
Of course, female beauty is extremely valuable in the eyes of men who seek to exploit it.
That's rubbish.
I don't give a
No, it's rubbish that he exploits them. That's what she said. Now watch her face as he immediately contradicts that.
shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do.
Have you heard the term lover boy before?
The Loverboy method?
Yeah.
Here it is. Did you guys catch that?
I did. It looked to me like her mentally packing that away to forget about it.
What I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do.
Have you heard the term lover boy before?
The Loverboy method?
Yeah.
She just watches him just say it, and she says nothing. It's like, did you just catch that? Her brain just fucking blanked.
I don't think that was a blank. I saw a lot of movement going on there. I saw somebody stowing something away in a very practiced way.
Where it's like they can't hear the bad stuff and will deny wrongdoing that he himself admits to.
Does this sound familiar? It's like the trans activists who refuse to acknowledge anything bad about their ideology, right?
Childlike is what he means. He has said that several times. Sugarcoat it however you want, you degenerate fucks. On a scale of 1 to rot in fucking hell, how depraved would we consider an individual who's selling a course on how to teach men to control and manipulate naive young girls into sex work? Now you're like throwing out, well, that's an emotional reaction, all the time, Leia. Damn right, this is an emotional reaction. Yes, I'm full of emotions right now. It doesn't make me wrong, though.
Thank you, Galatea. That is beautifully said. So apparently Andrew Tate was holding some girls in his house in Romania. And the question over whether or not they wanted to be there is a pretty big part of this case. The fact that we're even asking the question of whether or not those women wanted to be in his house tells me that we have gone way too far down the wrong path.
I'm totally against all of that. However, it's not illegal and it's clearly consensual. So each to their own.
You'll like these emotions though, Leia. These are good emotions. These emotions are hardwired into me from feminine, maternal, protective instincts. You think these are good tradwife emotions, so where the fuck are yours?
I think a lot of this stuff with Andrew, he's saying what everybody else is thinking. Men, since the dawn of time, have preferred younger women for whatever reason, and that's okay.
Do you have a younger sister, Leia? Just turned 18? I'm going to guess that you don't. I'll describe that feeling of hearing someone in his 30s talk about how he manipulates girls the same age as my baby sister, how he chooses them specifically because they are so naive and trusting and easy to mindfuck. It's a primordial rage I didn't know I had in me until it bubbled up from somewhere deep.
And that right there is why radical feminism. Right? Although I don't expect this young woman to just abandon the right and run to the left. I don't. She's clearly far too independent for that.
A disgust that I feel with every inch of my being, and it has everything to do with a protective love over how vulnerable and stupid and young I know 18-year-olds are, and nothing to do with being upset that I might be too old for the creepy man with a camera.
Can you see what I'm talking about? Can you see how this might be a direction for the future of modern feminism?
So you can stop with the disingenuous bullshit that people are just angry that Tate is attracted to fertility and youth. No. The reason people are angry is because he talks about how if they're 18 or 19 years old, they're easier to mentally control.
And that is what the right and the left both have in common, isn't it? Control. They want to control you. I don't know why. I don't know why we apparently live in the era of sneaky totalitarianism. I don't know. Prove me wrong.
Do you understand that she's not an adult like people in their 20s are adults? She's still under the authority of adults. How easy do we think it is for someone in their mid-30s to convince a teenager who is used to trusting and being under the authority of adults to do what they're told? And not just anyone in their mid-30s, someone who's made a career out of doing that.
And this is a sort of protective instinct that we might call a maternal instinct. I'm tempted to reclassify it as some kind of a sisterhood instinct. She talks about her sister here. I'm the oldest, I have a lot of little sisters. I relate very much to that idea. The protective feeling of younger women. We ought to have a discussion group about that too.
However, it's not illegal and it's clearly consensual. So each to their own.
No, you bitch. You cannot state that it's clearly consensual. You don't know that. You can say you believe that, but you're being fucking terrible right now, Leia. This is appalling. And then she got the absolute gall to put, oh, I'm not biased. Look at me, not biased. Oh, the truth. Oh, look at me, the truth. Oh, I can't.
Burn, baby, burn. Not only is she on fire, she's making a lot of sense. Okay? This is the kind of young woman that we need. In fact, that she is surprised. She sounds like a radical feminist. Tells us our messaging is not very good either, is it?
I have never been so disillusioned with conservatives as I am now. I don't think you guys care about stopping degeneracy like you yap on about. You don't give a fuck. You abandon your morals if someone says they're on your team. It's pathetic.
Conservatism in particular has a very bad corruption problem, and it has for a very long time. Televangelists come to mind, okay? Because they've always argued that God was on their side. And if God is on your side, then you don't have to worry about anything. Which is nice. But it also stops you thinking.
I'm annoyed with you all because I'm on board with the whole let's not blindly trust authority in the media thing, yet you lot make a fucking mockery out of it by becoming some of the most thoughtless blind followers of all.
So Andrew is inspiring people to think for themselves and really just turn against the establishment.
Don't call yourself a free thinker and anti-establishment when you admit to not thinking and to thoughtlessly doing what you're told if it's a strong man doing the telling.
How in the world can you be an anti-establishment conservative? You can't argue for the revolutionary act of continuing to follow the same rules.
But I think the covering her back and backtracking has slowly begun, and it's fucking cowardly, slimy, and owns up to nothing. What a surprise. Turns out it's not just leftists who engage in empty virtue signalling that means nothing and is calculated to benefit only themselves.
No, it's not. Wouldn't you know it? There's corruption on both sides. And as I've said, conservatism has a pretty big problem with it. My observation, they always have, like for the longest time. Liberals used to be the scrappy young upstarts. The establishment has a corruption problem. Yes, it does.
So you'll call out degeneracy and harmful ideologies to women when it's coming from the other side or if it's driven by women, but you won't from someone who bought you a pizza and is aiding your career. Do we think that there could be a conflict of interest there?
Yes! It's cherry picking. And I've said this a bunch, that cherry picking to make your side look better just makes you look like you have nothing real to say. Just makes you look like you have no counter for the arguments you will leave out. If you don't, you should address that. Because otherwise, you look like just another idiot.
I've never seen anything like this before. Usually when there's no evidence, they go free, everybody complains. But it's true, there's a lot of media pressure. There's also international pressure. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but Tristan said they're going after him because he's rich, young, and powerful. I believe that at this point. If there's no evidence against somebody, how are you keeping them in jail? Well, because you clearly see them as a threat. You see their power, their influence, their money as a massive threat.
1 minute being powerful makes you part of the establishment, and the next minute your power is a threat to the establishment? How does that work exactly?
One day before the first raid, one girl says, "We are really good and we need an Oscar." She says we need an Oscar, which confirms these girls are acting and they're proud of the lies.
Leia is so dishonest. She's so dishonest because there's other parts of these conversations that add evidence to the fact that the girls were afraid. If you don't want to take this seriously as evidence, that's fine. But don't present selective parts and leave out, and to present this narrative, especially when that's mainly what you criticize the mainstream media for. This is disgusting. And Leia, she cannot claim to be unaware of this because this is her biggest complaint of the media, the mainstream media. And she is behaving just like the worst, most slimy, dishonest fucking mainstream journalist. She's behaving just like them. You're not different to them, Leia. You're not different. You've just got a different narrative that you want to present, but you are exactly the same.
Of course she's acting like the mainstream journalists. How in the hell do you think you get ahead in journalism?
Very typical of girls. They obviously want to get as much clout as possible. They want to get fame. They want to be on TV. I think that the Tinder Swindler came out around similar time, and now all those girls are extremely famous. That's probably what the purpose of this is. You can see from all the screenshots, they're finding it funny. They're laughing. Yeah, babe, haha, so good. They're loving it. They want the clout and they want the fame.
Ooh, projection alert. We always find at least one of these, don't we? Which is where somebody looks at a situation and it's just so obvious to them what someone is doing because that's what they would be doing. And they tell on themselves.
This does not sound like a victim to me.
I'm sorry. Were we not all trained out of saying that stupid shit years ago?
How nice to be able to wash your hands of all responsibility when it suits you. You are dishonest.
Isn't that sweet? How she says, and I don't mean to patronize you, Galatea, I swear, but it's so sweet to me how you say you're dishonest. Like it's the worst insult you could think of. Because you're absolutely right. I don't think that Leia fucking cares, but the fact that you do so much makes me so damn happy.
This is why I've said in the past, and the more I see, the more I stand by this. I think obedience is a moral failing. This is why I have such a problem with this idea that femininity is submission. Not only is it shallow and ridiculous and does not begin to touch on the meaning and essence or true nature of femininity, but it also robs women of their autonomy and personal growth. And ironically, because the Red Pill always talk about how they want women to be accountable, you idiots, promoting the idea of female submission lets women off the hook from accountability. Do what you want, Leia. I really don't care. But where my problem is how you've gone around publicly presenting femininity as immature, not thinking, not questioning, submitting, sidestepping responsibility, defaulting to playing dumb when you don't want to deal with something, prioritizing adoration and attention above integrity, and not thinking much further beyond yourself. Toxic femininity, in other words.
Why, thank you for the definition, Galatea. That could really come in handy.
That was just you being you. I wouldn't criticize you so harshly, but you present yourself as the way women should be and behave, and you so strongly criticize other women for how they choose to live and present themselves or express their femininity. And because you do that, you make yourself a role model and a spokeswoman for femininity. There are people who now hold you as that standard of femininity, as the best example of how a woman should behave. You're aware of that, and that's a responsibility. And I, for one, I'm not happy at all with how you have been representing us.
I have no idea who this Leia woman is, but Galatea sure does. And that's one of the reasons, like I say, this is very interesting, is because from my perspective, we're hearing from a whole different corner of the current conversation.
What I resent is this idea that a good woman doesn't think or question or apparently have much moral conviction. Presenting femininity like that and using it to hide your own failings is absolutely something that I will call out, because you can't use it as an excuse to be weak. That's you, not femininity, and you publicly degrade it when you use it to explain away your flaws.
What is femininity? It's not weakness, you know? Some of the most essential female experiences, all about, blood and guts and all that stuff. So, yeah, we should have a conversation about all this.
Act an idiot if you like, but don't blame it on the fact you're female. As an excuse to be stupid, or cowardly, or selfish. It's disrespectful.
To yourself. What she's describing here is internalized misogyny, right? Because if you believe any of this shit about yourself because you're female, well, where in the hell you think you got that idea from? So I wanted to do something a little more involved, a little more positive this week. I can always go back to arguing with stupid people, but this really felt like a diamond in the rough to me, and I say that she has more followers than I do, and I'm just adding my voice to the chorus here. But again, the video is almost 4 hours long. I watched it and I thought, it is kind of a circular, thing that she does, but she's moving around something, which is this hole in the middle of modern philosophy where feminism ought to be. And I think that Galatea has a lot of really interesting ideas about what we might put there to fill this gap in, philosophically conceptualizing our material existence. This should not be a revolutionary concept after all this time. And thank you, Galatea, for, articulating some of this so succinctly. I'm sorry I had to cut so much out. I encourage everybody to go and watch her original video, which I will link down below. Also down there you will find a link to my merch. You can get yourself a t-shirt, and obviously all proceeds go to support the channel. Please like the video if you did, and subscribe so that we can all work together to bring feminism back into the real world. There are others out there who are, in our corner, whether they realize it or not.
I really want a movement around femininity that's about the value in femininity, that's about bettering women and helping women to better themselves.
I've been RadMom, doing something a little more positive this week, and I will see y'all at noon for the live stream and discussion. And next week, probably yelling at some dumbass. Till then, see you later. Bye.